should probably bring up the show notes in my
sound.
Yeah, that's...
Yep, throw, slam, yep, it's all there. There's your rule book.
Thanks, man.
It's
Does
page
the
32.
32?
Yeah. Starts on 32.
Why the hell is my certified emergency first aid card in my rule book?
Because you needed a bookmark and
I guess
right
so.
there. It wouldn't be the first time I found like a license or something.
I'm going to pee before the show tonight.
Oh shit, I should do that as well.
It's a new thing I'm trying where I'm not super uncomfortable.
Push, slam.
No, he's just going to pee.
Oh, okay. So I keep hearing about rakes and headbutts. Rakes and headbutts are a thing.
Yes,
but
they are.
I don't see headbutts on the card, so I'm like, what the hell?
Headbutt is a power attack.
Is it?
Okay, so rake, it has the rule jump.
Yes.
So you move up to a line of infantry.
Yeah.
You jump behind it.
Yeah.
You spend 1 for the power attack headbutt.
Yeah.
You knock down a heavy.
Yeah.
And then you shoot the fuck out of the knockdown thing behind the line of infantry.
Cool.
Or a caster.
Yeah.
The reason why headbutts are not often used
is because they're not on the card.
No, it's actually because when you take a look at the advantage of a headbutt versus doing all of your attacks, it's not equalized. Where headbutts are very useful is the knockdown.
Yeah.
Okay, but lights can knock things down.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's where it should be used. But the reason why people usually forget about it is the first thing you buy is 3 heavies.
Yeah.
And then you're like, I can do a headbutt, but
what I did
just do my normal attacks.
For example, yesterday or on Monday, somebody put a heavy in front of me, and I'm like, whoa. So I picked it up and threw it against the house we were both next to, which knocked it down, did damage, and it ended in base to base with me. Then I bought the rest of my attacks on it, and then another thing charged it and just squished it because it was knocked down.
Well, the thing is there's so many things that do knockdown in the game as well. That often what happens is you've already teched your knockdown. But headbutts are definitely a thing, especially, I think they're a bigger thing for Legion.
Slams, throws, just about almost every power attack.
Slams are not used very often because they are not as effective as a throw.
Yes.
And
but you can do a slam at the end of an extra movement. What?
I'm gonna take the mic off because I gotta go.
Good call. Nobody else ever does. Slams are...
You can mute it, by the way. There's a mute button for just that reason.
Yeah.
Nobody ever does. It's so insane.
Well, I usually explain it to people right off the bat.
And
when people leave for pee, I'm like, fuck, I'm gonna do fucking... No, that slams are legit because lights can do slams. Is that correct?
They can slam their own base size, I believe.
Yes, you still, that's the problem, you can only do your base size or smaller.
All Warjacks, headbutt, push, slam, heavies, trample, Warjacks with 1 non-crippled open fist, get headlock and weapon, weapon lock, and throw, and 2 gets double-handed throw.
Yeah. The thing about power attacks...
Handily on page 30.
The power attacks, I mean, as you look at the power curve on them, they're not used often for exactly the first reason you mentioned, which is they're not on the card. Second reason that they're not used very often is because most of the time people buy a bunch of heavies, and in most cases, except for slams and throws being used to get people out of zones, etc., or in cases tactical shenanigans, they're not used because in most cases it's better to just walk up and whack the guy 5 times or 6 times and kill him.
Oh, as part of our Doctor Who podcast, did you see the heavy weapons Dalek last week?
Yes.
Did you see the black and white Dalek?
Yes.
The only one I didn't see was a Skittles Dalek.
No, I didn't see Skittles either.
Yeah, that was the only one we didn't see.
Where did I put my beer?
Yeah.
I don't know. Did you drink it?
Damn it. Jason, did you drink my beer?
You probably drank it. That's usually what happens.
Then I would have an empty bottle. I think of these fucking things. Pick up some guys.
God damn it.
Open another one.
No, wait. I gotta find it.
Well, I'm getting another one.
God damn it.
God damn it.
I'll take another. We're awesome.
Shut up and sit down, you big bald fuck.
I'm not bald.
I may have been watching Snap.
Let's do our 2 minutes of Doctor Who podcasting then.
Yeah.
Since we already began this.
Great two-parter.
Sorry. Sunglasses? I'm not cool with it.
You're not cool with the sunglasses?
I'm not cool with the sunglasses either.
I'm sorry.
Gotta say it.
That's not what I signed up for.
I really hope that's temporary.
I don't want to sound like an old fuddy-duddy Doctor Who fan, but
so if you're not
sunglasses ends up being
so does it
but,
have to be tubular shaped then? Are you okay with the Sonic lipstick but not with the Sonic sunglasses?
I don't care if it's phallic shaped at all, but I don't need something that doesn't look like anything.
Yes.
To be his coolest thing.
Yeah.
Like
it should look different.
So his
sci-fi.
MacGuffin needs to be a sci-fi MacGuffin, not this random object MacGuffin.
Here's the thing I wear that look exactly like something you could buy in the store. Fuck that shit. I need to be able to walk around a sci-fi convention holding or wearing the thing that only Doctor Who would have.
But you didn't think it was odd that is the only time he has ever worn sunglasses through that entire 2 episodes?
I knew the sunglasses were going to come up.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a given. And it would be cool if he had sunglasses that do Doctor Who things. I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
I'm saying getting rid of the sonic screwdriver and replacing it with a pair of sunglasses.
It's kind of shit.
No thanks.
Well, I'll tell you right now.
Ray-Ban, if that's true, Ray-Ban paid a whole lot of money.
Yeah. No, I'm going to say that they will not keep them because the you found it. They will not keep them for exactly that reason.
Damn it.
They will not keep them for exactly that reason because you can't run around a sci-fi convention with them. But I think they were a good. Oh, the Doctor doesn't have his. He doesn't have his screwdriver. Oh, yes, he does. He planned for that. Because you have to have the Doctor. The Doctor's superpower is the same as Batman's. It's to be super prepared.
Yeah, no, I get all that. I'm just saying, as a Doctor Who fan. Man. All right, let's get started on that bitch.
Just a second here now.
I gotta pull up this.
So, wait. We have to change to a Warm Who podcast now?
Yeah, we're no longer a Doctor Who podcast.
I was not prepared for this.
For all those that tuned in, we've been planning on being a Doctor Who podcast all this time, and we would like to have all of your comments and criticisms towards Doctor Who sunglasses, because I'm not in. I'm not
in either.
I'm not signing up for that.
I'm walking away.
By the way, if you want an actual Doctor Who podcast, I highly recommend Radio Free Scarrow or 2 Minute Time Lord.
There we go.
They're both really good.
Look at it. Okay.
Back of
which
the
number
destruction
am I?
cover, which is what that?
I think I'm
Legion leaks. Incontinent war beasts. What?
No, it was Jason was talking about the
Blightbringer.
The Blightbringer.
God
damn it, George!
God damn it, Park.
Which
hey,
number
guys,
am
want to
I
see the
here?
new spoiler on my car? God damn
5,
it, Park.
6. Is that me? Is that me? Is that me? Nope.
Dude, you're already mixed.
Now he's just fucking
I seem really
wiggling
loud
shit.
in my ears. I'm really loud.
Well, maybe you shouldn't talk so loud, dumbass.
In my ears, I'm really loud.
Like you're louder than us, type of thing.
I feel like it.
Oh
well.
Look at your levels.
I'm good.
It might be
I'm
because
good.
you're in your own head.
Okay,
Maybe.
See, talk.
Talk.
George, talk.
Talk.
See?
This is you.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Is that me? Is it me? Am I you?
There you go.
Am I me? Okay, that's better.
God damn it.
Sorry, wrong
See the
room.
little
I'm looking
glowing
for
lights?
Moosemachine.
God
We're
damn
gonna
Glowing
find
lights tell you.
God damn it, you
Hey,
drunken-
Reddit, we're trying to
Everybody
have
was
better sound
talking.
this week,
All
so
right.
you're gonna have to put up with our bullshit.
Fucking drunken.
I'm gonna hit
monkeys.
record.
I don't know. I really don't know why. I've never used any of those recordings.
When you're ready, hit that there button.
I'm ready. You ready?
Okay, remember, hand up when the thing's playing, hand down when it stops, because we can't hear it.
Oh, okay.
Yes, bye.
Welcome to This Death Clock Has 60 Minutes, the explicit All Warma Hordes news podcast. It's 8 p.m. Wednesday night, and the Death Clock starts now. Hey guys, welcome to This Death Clock Has 60 Minutes, the All Warma Hordes podcast, where we report the news that's super awesome this week in Warma Hordes while drinking beer. because that's what we do. I am your host, the Miffed Gorax. My co-host over here, Semi-Automagic.
Hello.
And, of course, running the boards on the computer, checking in with you folks live by the minute, is no one other than Maelstrom.
You guys got to put up with me.
Please remember, if you are watching us on YouTube right now, this is a great time to write down Twitch TV /PG_ Semi-Automagic, because every Wednesday night at 8, we broadcast live, and you, sir, yes, you, sitting on the couch by yourself, nothing to do on a Wednesday night, can tune in and join us, and you can make comments and you can make fun of all the things we got wrong.
And we're going to get a lot wrong tonight.
We're going to get a whole shitload wrong tonight, because we do not have any support from smart people.
Yes. Marc-Andre is somewhere in the ether probably making fun of us. The Minty, I'm sure, is laughing at how bad we are at questions, but we're going to try and muddle through anyway.
Yeah, so what we decided we do is we generally bring in guests. If you watched the show before, we bring in guests about 3 times a month, and then we try once a month to just have the 3 of us, and we're going to focus on something that we normally only take about 10 minutes on, but then we're going to take a big topic, and we're going to really sort of put our collective War Machine minds towards it. So when we say our collective minds, will probably get 30% right and 70% wrong.
Horribly wrong.
But the good news is that we try to do as much research as we can in advance. So this week what we're going to talk about is power attacks.
Ooh.
So the whole podcast, although we'll do it the way we normally do it, format, a death clock format, it'll be done in an hour. But we're really going to focus on power attacks. So those of you new players out there who want to really learn about power attacks, who have heard of those things being used in certain situations, but don't know how to use it themselves, this is a great resource. And for you old players, this is what we want you to do is in the comments in the YouTube stream, put anything that we got wrong, put any suggestions you have, tactics, all that kind of stuff. And if you're watching the stream live, jump in whenever you can. Maelstrom's on it over there. Maelstrom, who do we have in the chat today?
We got a couple people so far. We have Baron Von Echo and Crazy Dog, and probably some other people who aren't talking.
No, that's sweet. If you're in
Hey Baron, you gonna whip your cock out? You gonna whip your cock out on the weekend? Huh? I'm gonna have my cock out. Huh?
The problem with you saying that is that your friggin' battle engine actually looks like a penis.
Frag bombs here. Frag bomb.
Yep.
Elaine. Fantastic painter,
Oh my
Elaine.
god. Alright, so to get back on topic, let's get started. We'll talk about some of the news this week. Some actual news this week. Because that stuff we got to talk about. Some of the things that have come up this week. George, what do we got?
Well, devastation is looming on the horizon, and we're starting to not see leaks so much as people just sort of aggregating what we already know. Now, the one new little tidbit of information we have is the back of the book.
Oh yeah, we did see that. That was put on Twitter.
The Privateer Press Primecast spoke about the guy that we saw on the back of the book, who is basically a big undead gator black-hide wrestler who is also an altar.
Yeah. So we're talking an arc node for hordes.
They're hoping it's an arc node. That's the rumor.
Well, I think I actually said it's an altar arc node. So
we're hoping
/black.
I'm guessing it's a character.
Yeah.
I can't imagine it not being a character.
Well, I always keep my dead black-eyed wrestlers around.
Yeah, but they just get moldy.
Yeah,
Oh, maybe those are scented candles. Oh, maybe that's why the candles. Those are scented candles. God. Oh my god, pumpkin spice wrestler.
That's pretty cool, though, because, there is a large contingent of the minion guys who just love them some gators. And gators have arguably one of the best units in the game.
Oh, yes. Gators.
Yeah. Gator posse. So if you get into gators,
and the croaks.
Yeah, but you get into gators, you want more gators.
Yeah,
that's kind of what especially with croaks being so freaking ridiculous.
Oh my god, they're so awesome.
So yeah, there's a lot of gators players. I think there'll be more. Really, I think that micro faction is going to become something a bit along the line. I mean, I'd say they're equalizing stuff. We'll see more.
Yeah, well, my hope is that actually some of the hordes and War Machine factions actually start slowing down to maybe 1 or 2 models just to fill them out.
Yeah.
and then we see more micro factions.
I support that. Too.
Like Convergence, where it's one big release of all the stuff, maybe over a year, and that gives you an entire new faction.
I'd say Cephalix is the same thing.
Cephalix is the same thing, but Minions and Mercs to a lesser extent still need to be worked out a little bit more to be really sort of brought up online with everything else.
Arguably, I think that's a great point, too. With micro-factions, it gives them a chance to create new factions in the game that are all-inclusive.
Yeah.
Where you're not overwhelmed. Like, let's say a new Signar player, when they show up, they get the battle box. They're like, sweet, this will be awesome. And then they get to that rack at the store.
Yeah.
And there's 8,000 models, and they go through that like, ooh.
Yeah, where do I go? Where do I
go? And how do I... And then they have to go online and learn how to balance lists and all that type of stuff. Whereas a micro-faction... like Cephalix or like Gators or Convergence, any of these factions that are smaller, tighter, they're a tighter design space, so they haven't blown out into that kind of, what the hell do I do next?
Yeah.
Which is where you still want that, because those practice players want those options.
Exactly.
Arguably, they end up playing the same 10 lists, but let's leave that behind.
That's neither here nor there.
So that's pretty cool. I'm excited about that. I'm really excited about the Destruction leak. The release, because there's been so little leaked. I'm looking forward to seeing
now,
what's
you say
coming.
there's been so little leaked, but I have a quick list here of the stuff that we know of coming out of Devastation.
Right.
For the Trollbloods, we've got Doomy 3, the Bushwhacker UA, the Dunian Priestess, and the Glacier King. Legion, we have the Breakblinger, the twins already in the 10th anniversary box.
Yep.
The Grotesque UA, or
Chromac.
Solo, or the new unit, whatever they're going to do with Grotesques. I mean... everybody else just melts them down for the pewter, so they might as well do something with them.
Right.
For Circle, we know we've got the Raptor, which is our Gargantuan, and Chromac 2.
Yep.
For Scorn, we've got Zaltu already.
Yep.
Desert Hydra, which looks amazing.
Yep.
And the Immortal UA. And then Minions, we've got that Arknode we were just talking about. The Blind Walker.
Walker.
Blind Walker, then the Croak Raiders, and the Brigand UA for the...
it's funny, because there's been a lot of complaints on the
It sounds
forums.
like a lot, but
complaints on the forums.
No, but what's funny is complaints on the forums. how insane is that?
Forums complaining about something?
Sorry about peeking out Reddit. I didn't mean to have bad audio. No. So what we're saying is that people were complaining that there wasn't a lot of previews. The reality is... you just mentioned like half the book there at least. I don't know if there's going to be that many surprises when it comes down to it. Hopefully there'll be a few.
What I'd like to see is probably 6 models from each faction, or 6 types. It doesn't have it could be a unit, could be a solo, whatever. And we've seen about 3 out of each, and it's amazingly consistent, the number of things that we have found out about. If you look. It's about 3 out of each one.
So we've learned about 50%.
That my hope is that we've learned 50%. Yeah. The downside could be that we have learned 80%. You know,
that would suck. Actually, I would be kind of like, oh,
yeah. Well,
I don't want to spend money on it. I mean, I like the lore stuff, but I don't want to spend a ton of money on a book and then be like, oh, there's nothing new in here. I couldn't have seen online for free.
Exactly.
So yeah, I mean, some of the things you mentioned that are exciting for me, they did show the December releases as well.
Yes.
I'm pretty excited as I've been taking up Circle a lot lately, giving a break to
there's Cephalix.
Well,
until they're legal to play.
And Signar, that's the thing. From a playing at a convention, or doing a tournament, I can't play Cephalix if I just want to go all in Cephalix yet. So I have been focusing on my Signar for tournament play. I'm thinking about putting Signar to the side for now. One of the things that's really cool about doing the Journeyman League that we're doing now is I can literally hand over my Signar to a friend, that I trust with my models, and there's nobody I trust more with my models than Russ, because the guy will make them better. He'll fix them and make them stronger. So what's cool is I can hand them off, which has given me a chance to play Circle.
Yeah.
Which I had all the Circle models because they were one of the units, things I was interested in the first place. But I'm actually kind of excited about Wolves of Ouroboros coming out, because that's a character unit, and character units are always awesome.
Yeah. All the character units are amazing. The Black 13th, the Black Frost Shard. They all start with B.
Wolves of Orbis, that starts with a W. No, there's like literally not a character unit that's come out. Dude, the pirate character unit that just came out.
The Black Mutineers?
The Mutineers. I love those guys. I mean, I've been playing them with Cephalix.
The models are so cool.
If you're a Cephalix player and you are playing TAC all the time, that's pretty sweet. Go out and
get yourself some Mutineers.
And the Mutineers are beautiful models from a painting standpoint. They're amazing. And then they're just as good on the table, which is so fucking rare. Like, look at Black 13th. They're horrible to paint. They're just the tiniest.
Tiny little guys.
Like, you can't... If somebody paints eyes on the Black 13th, I'm like, that's masterful. Oh, you have giant elf eyes. I said, this is a block of wood.
Well, I'm pretty sure those are Infinity models or something. I'm not sure.
I don't know, but they're half the size of everything else.
Yeah.
Privateer Press, I know you don't watch our podcast. You should.
But you don't.
But you don't.
For all your Privateer Press
please,
info.
God, from all.
You did a resculpt on Thags. Why not the Black 13th?
Why not? Seriously. They're beautiful to start with. Just make them bigger. You could just blow them up a little bit. You just literally have to take Photoshop and to zoom them out a little.
I'm sure they don't have any molds already made that they would need to throw away.
All right. So, there was also a leak for Legion this week. We got some extra time.
Well, it's not actually a leak. It was the Blightbringer. They talked a very little bit about it on Primecast again.
Mm-hmm.
And the big thing he was saying is that, like a lot of us suspected, it's going to poop out Blight Wasps.
Okay.
And it's looking like one a turn right now.
Ooh.
I heard it was consecutive, though. So by turn 3, you spit out 3 at a time.
So
that's
so
what Doug
turn
Hamilton,
1, turn 2,
turn 3,
3. That sounds legit.
Well,
I am really excited to see that model.
Mm-hmm.
I've been playing my Legion recently. I still like Legion.
There's a rumor that you're trading right out of Legion.
It might happen, but that Blightbringer is a completely different looking model than any of the others.
Yep, absolutely.
And that's what excites me.
Well, I think it's like it's the same with the Nephit.
Oh yeah,
I mean, anytime we get
Efforts Scout.
Anytime we get something that's just completely different in the game, Cephalix is the same deal. When you introduce something into the game that's just a cool, different thing, the hobby guys get right into it because it's like, sweet, something that's not just another Ravagore that's been with wings.
Yeah, Ravagore with shooty thing.
Yeah,
Ravagore with axey.
So that's pretty sweet. So, but I did hear there were some stats thrown down.
The stats are bad.
They're not.
Stats are they're
wrong.
They're wrong.
All right. Well, so that's good information to give you guys. All right, guys. So let's move off of the news. That's the news for this week. We'll have a lot more. One of the things I want you guys to know about is the day that Destruction is released. We will be doing a full as soon as we have the book in our hands.
As soon as we have Devastation.
As soon as we have
Destruction
in our hands, we will be doing a full walkthrough of the book with you. George will have a camera pointed at the book. Try not to break any laws out there, but we'll talk about every new cool thing that's happening in that book. And we're going to try to do that all the time with any new releases like that, errata's book releases. So
the new Steamroller.
The way to find out about that is to subscribe to the Twitch channel. And you will get it. We'll do it at noon, the moment that we have the book in our hands, so you'll get to see it too. Let's move on, guys, because today we have a focused topic. We're going to talk about one thing for the entire podcast. Even the quiz questions at the end of the podcast,
oh no,
except for the Minty Special Edition question, are focused on power attacks. Power attacks are a weird thing in this game. As said on the Wikipedia thing for Warm Hordes, Warm Hordes was supposed to be separated out from other games by power attacks.
Mm-hmm.
The idea of having a robot and a giant monster fighting each other, throwing each other across the board, that was supposed to be one of the center pieces of Warmachine and Hordes. And it didn't work out that way. And we talked about it earlier before the show started. If you tuned in early to the show, you may have already heard us talking about this. The reality is, and I'll put this out as a theorem.
Mm-hmm.
We've come up with 2 reasons why that didn't happen. One, because it's not on the cards. Yeah. So when you've got your cards laid down in front of you during a game, you look at your cards. power attacks aren't actually there. You read them in the rule book once, you forgot about them. Second, generally, power attacks have kind of fallen to the wayside by on-card rules. On-card, or your normal attacks, or whatever. They're often power skewed the wrong direction, and they're often not as great. But the reality is quite a bit different. That's perception.
Yeah.
Semi-auto magic. What is the reality with power attacks, according to you?
Well, the reality with power attacks, and I think you will see this in high-level competitive play, is that power attacks are a way to get things done. They're another way to skew the dice.
Mm-hmm.
War Machine, again, a thing that sets it apart from almost any other game. Any other game, you have, I have to roll X to hit. You know, I'm playing 40K, it's 6s to hit, or 3s to hit, whatever. I can't do anything to change those dice. I can maybe position or stuff like that, but in War Machine...
Bring a better model.
Bring a better model, whatever. But at game time, when I have Model A and Model B on the table, every other game system, it's like, I roll these dice. If I get this number, I hit. If I get this number, I miss.
Yeah.
In War Machine and Hordes, we have the one weird thing is we get to boost. We get to make that choice to skew the odds in our favor. The power attacks are used in the same way. They can be used to skew the odds in your favor, whether that be for location, whether that be for fixing dice rolls, whether that be for doing things that maybe you couldn't do before. The power attacks are all there to let you do those things.
Mm-hmm. Well, they also give board control.
Yes.
More than anything else, they give you board control, I think. Which is something that, like, we talk about control casters. When you've got an assassination caster that's suddenly trapped in a control game, it opens up a whole new... When you remember power attacks, you're like, oh shit, I've just got one dude in the zone.
Mm-hmm.
You and I played a game this week. It came down to one dude in the zone.
Yeah.
And you could either have tried to kill him with his 21 armor, and
that wasn't happening.
May or may not have. You had a heavy left.
I did have a heavy.
You could have killed him, but you had, the dice were still skewed in my favor enough that if you had waffled 2 hits, like I had the turn before, the game would have been a different game.
Absolutely, yeah.
So power attacks suddenly became, I'm just going to friggin' throw you out of the zone.
Yeah.
And win. Game over. Cool. So, Maelstrom, I'm going to point this in your direction. Why is it, in your opinion, that new players forget about power attacks?
The rules on power attacks, I think, are a little long-winded, and they're all a little different. So, and they're not on the card. I mean, you have to memorize right out of the rule book exactly how it's done. And for a new player, when you're trying to remember, 100 other things at the same time, it gets a little bit overwhelming, and you don't see people using them that much.
All right, so let's go right into the very beginning. Let's make power attacks less overwhelming.
Okay.
PG semi-auto magic. Let's lay down some baselines. We'll try to keep it as simple as possible.
Mm-hmm.
What are the things all warjacks can do?
Well, you guys can follow along tonight. If you've got the little rule books, page 31, I think we're beginning at. On the big ones, I believe it's page 51.
The one that you download from the internet is 51.
The one you download.
The big book, I'm not sure. So if you've still got a big book,
is on 51 as well.
So it's 31, 30, and it really gets into it on 32 in the Hordes one, 51 on the...
31 in the War Machine one as well.
Yep.
But all warjacks, headbutt?
Warjacks and beasts, sorry.
Well, yeah, sorry. All warjacks and all war beasts. This is one of the wonderful things where...
And monstrosities.
Now they can after
the
errata. All war beasts and warjacks sort of have the same abilities in this case. So all of them have headbutt, push, and slam.
Yep.
So that's what everybody gets.
Everybody gets headbutt, push, and slam.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how many open hands you have.
Exactly.
So just think about it this way, guys. Simple enough. You have headbutt, push, slam.
Yeah.
Now,
on everybody.
here's where shit gets complicated. What's the difference between, well, headbutt sounds like an attack.
It is.
But it has a simple bonus. Headbutt does an attack.
And it knocks people down.
Push sounds the same as a slam. What's the difference between a push and a slam?
Well, with a push, you don't have to move your 3 inches.
Mm-hmm.
And it is a push as opposed to hurling over things. So in Warmachine, the term push means that it moves along the ground. It does not pass over terrain or bases. If it hits another model, it stops immediately without doing any damage to any of them.
Mm-hmm. And slam, what does a slam do?
A slam is similar to a throw where the model is hit and goes flying backwards.
Gotcha.
It will, when it goes flying backwards, it will hit all the other models. It is stopped at its own base size or larger, and it is stopped if it hits an obstruction, like a wall or a building or something.
Okay, we're trying to keep it simple for the new players.
Well,
so we've given those 3 things.
Yeah, but let's start with the headbutt.
Let's also
quantify
that you can never do any of these to anything with a larger base size. So you might think, oh, sweet. Well, I have a light jack.
Except that that's not true.
Okay, well then let's get started from the... Well,
let's start with the simple one.
Let's start with the simple one.
Headbutt.
So give me headbutt.
Okay, so to do a headbutt, like all of these, you will have to have all of your weapons available that you can give up their attacks.
Right.
So you give up all your initials.
Yep. Very important to remember. That's the biggest thing with power attacks.
Yeah, one of the things about power attacks, and this is the same with almost all special actions that war beasts do, is that they need to be able to give up all their initials. So if something has taken away your initial attacks, like you've been forced to give them up so you can stand up and move, you can't do it.
Yep.
Doesn't matter how many focus you have or fury you pay, not going to work.
Yeah.
So you're standing next to this guy, and you don't like the way he's looking at you. You want him laying down on the ground. Now, suppose for a minute that you've had both of your arms crippled. And, you're not going to be able to do anything to this guy, but you want to get him down on the ground so your buddies can help.
Super legit thing to say, by the way. Remember, having both your arms crippled means you can still do a headbutt.
Yeah, because you can still give up those attacks, even if they are 1 dice. So you spend your focus, or you are forced and given a fury.
Yep.
And you make an attack roll as normal on the enemy model. Now, because this is not with either of your arms, you still get your 2 dice.
You get both dice. Super legit again!
So you roll the 2 dice. You're really lucky you hit the other guy. He is knocked down and then takes a strength attack. So if your strength is 12, he takes a POW 12 attack.
Now, unless the cards say otherwise, because some cards,
some creatures, they're very special beasts. Usually, things with tusks tend to get bonuses to headbutts and slams,
or things with giant metal front facial things, or big horns. One of the things about doing this, once again, can a light jack headbutt heavy jack?
Absolutely.
Okay, so
knock his ass
that means
down.
A light jack has the chance to, like a light jack that's got both of his arms out, can still walk over and potentially headbutt.
A classic thing that we were talking about earlier is the rake jump, or the Minuteman jump. Because the jump is not a charge or anything, and because it does not have to give up its attacks to do it, you can take a Minuteman or a rake or something, move them their full movement, jump over a line of infantry, smack a heavy to the ground, and then all the rest of your shooty guys just pour damage into the knockdown thing.
So I think so. We headbutt, pretty damn simple, really. It's the simplest out there.
It is the simplest one,
and we've hit the nail on the head.
It's one of the most powerful ones.
But what's ridiculous is that we've hit the nail on the head. Nobody uses it. You never see, like you and I can't name a single time in the 800 games you and I have played against each other where one of us have been like, headbutt! Legit.
Yeah.
So I think the challenge...
The person that I look to for my headbutt champion is the wife. My wife,
She remembers that.
her classic thing is to lose both arms of her warjack, and then it just wanders across the board, knocking your shit down.
Yeah.
It is so annoying.
That's fair, and honestly, super awesome. And I'm glad you mentioned that, because I guarantee you, if I had remembered headbutts this week, maybe our game would have been different. 'Cause
Possibly.
I may have just needed to.
You
knock
can't
you
headbutt a
down.
colossal, though, right?
Right. Well, that's the
you
thing.
can headbutt a colossal all
But you
day
can't
long,
knock it down.
but
You
it
can't
cannot
knock
knock it down.
The thing about colossals, and we'll get into that at the end of the show, because we're going to talk
Colossals are
very
steady.
briefly about colossals. We really don't want to talk about colossals because they basically have their own
Set of power attacks.
and rules, because they're immune to
Half of that
everything.
shit, yeah.
And it makes sense because the amount of, you're spending half your points basically per game to make that colossal work. You don't want it to be shut down, and this is what PP has basically done with the last set of errata. You don't want it shut down by one simple thing like a light walking up
Yeah.
and headbutting it. It would kind of be ridiculous.
Yes.
So we'll move on from colossals. We'll talk about that a bit at the end of the show today. So if you really want to hear about colossals, skip to about 45 minutes, the 45-minute mark. We'll touch on it briefly. Okay, so headbutt, simple.
Yeah.
Next one.
Well, let's go by the order in the book here. So push,
Push.
Push comes up, but doesn't.
push. The classic thing for when you think you're just about an inch out with this heavy attack that's going to kill that guy's caster.
Yeah.
So pushes are great because it is a movement that does not do damage.
Yeah.
So you can push something in or out of a zone if you want a specific one of your models to be there.
Yep.
Classically, a thing to do can be push a model a heavy walks up behind another heavy and pushes it an inch forward so that
the classic is heavy walks up to E-Kane, pushes E-Kane a couple inches closer so that E-Kane doesn't have to. So that E-Kane now has a 22-inch threat range instead of his normal 18. So, but a push works like.
a push is like most contested power attacks. So
Yep.
I will define a contested power attack is a power attack in which both people roll dice.
Right.
So, like most contested attacks, this is a strength contest.
Mm-hmm.
So, I want to push you. I have strength 12, you have strength 10. We both roll a d6, add those to our values, and if the attacker exceeds the defender, remember it's exceed, it's not match.
Yeah.
So exceeds the defender, then the defender is pushed, and I want to say it's always an inch, but I will check.
It's always an inch, and is it up to as well?
Yeah, pushed 1 inch directly away from the attacker.
Okay.
Not up to, it is pushed 1 inch.
So yeah, you don't get a choice to go half an inch.
No.
You get moved an inch.
You get moved an inch.
Same thing. You lose your initials, spend your one focus, do your power attack.
Yeah.
Once again, guys, remember that your units, your solos, anything like that can't do these. You need to be a jack. You need to be a jack that is or a monstrosity or a beast. We have a question from the stream.
Yeah, we're still going over the headbutt thing.
Yep.
So can you headbutt a larger base?
Yes.
Okay, because Dr. Baloney says you can't headbutt a larger base.
That is, well, and you know what? This is maybe one of the things we're wrong at, but as far as we've read the rules, and as far as the headbutt is the one thing that.
As far as I know, the headbutt is the one that doesn't, because you can't. We'll get into the others, but you can't throw, you can't weapon lock,
you can't push.
You can't push, but you can.
You can headbutt
But
because it's not moving the.
Because it's not moving. It's not doing any of those things.
Okay, so I think basically push is pretty simple.
Yeah.
Spend the power, you get to move the inch is post power strength. Most of the time, this does not come up as unless it's something to get somebody out of the zone. But a throw is better.
Usually,
you'll do more damage. You have if all fails, at least you'll do a ton of damage. Maybe hurt somebody.
You don't need to have open fists to push.
That can be the one time it comes up. But the most time I've seen push come up is to actually get an assassination vector where you need it to be. So if you're just 1 inch out, we've got verification. I was pretty sure.
I was incorrect?
No.
A model cannot headbutt while held.
Model can headbutt a model with a larger base.
It was put in there. I remember reading this today.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was pretty sure. I mentioned this at the beginning of the show.
Good job, Devon.
Every once in a while,
they get it wrong.
I get it right, and you get it wrong.
I got it
It's
wrong.
weird.
Yeah.
You're right, you can't. So that's
Yeah.
actually really important. So go back to all the shit we just said about a light warjack being able to headbutt and knock down a larger base. It's not true. We lied.
I lied. I'm wrong.
But that's why we have an audience, and that's why you're here.
Good job, guys.
Good job, audience. That's why we want you around. Okay, so I believe in the old rules you probably could. I think that's probably been a rat it, to be honest.
Yeah, they're like almost all the others.
Well, okay, so moving on.
Mm-hmm.
So we've talked about push. We've talked about how it's tactically used most of the time. You can see where the advantage of it is. It does cost you as much.
Yeah, one thing to mention is that the strength check is not optional. You can fail your own strength check.
Right.
Pushing your own model.
Right. Yeah.
So if you're trying to, push that that bronze back an extra inch forward so that he can get the charge
think
off.
about the fact that he's got a 14 strength or whatever.
Yeah, whatever
it is, because it's a bronze back.
Yeah.
I don't know what it actually is. Don't key me on that. I don't have to answer the quiz questions that in the show. It's awesome. I don't have to remember shit. So next, let's go.
We're going by the
last thing that all
list
jacks can
here.
do, or
Slam.
all lights can do.
Slams.
Lights and heavies.
Slams are fun.
Mm-hmm.
So a slam is similar to a charge in its initial movement.
Yeah.
So you get your normal movement plus the 3 inches.
Yep.
And then it starts to all go kind of weird.
Yeah, slams are where we start getting complicated. It's the same problem with throws.
Slams are kind of like a direct throw.
Yeah.
So things that you must know about a slam. Slams, for your movement.
Yep.
Things you need to know about a slam. A slam you must move directly towards, not towards. So, for example, for a charge, you might charge off to the left or off to the right.
Right.
As long as you end within weapon melee, you're fine.
In this case, it needs to be center of base to center of base.
Be direct. You cannot, because the idea is that you are bull rushing the other guy.
Yeah.
So you rush right at the other guy, so this is directly towards, and your slam movement will be directly away from the model.
Yep.
So slammed models, first you have to hit.
Same as usual,
Just
and that's
like
just
everything
it's a
else.
mat roll like everything else.
Yeah, I think all power attacks are mat. Yes, all power attacks are mat.
Even the
throws.
attack on a throw against
Another
against the
model
person that
is
you're
a
throwing
mat
at, it's
attack.
always mat, which is important to remember.
So then it is hit and it's slammed. So there's 2 parts to a slam. There's the movement and there's the damage.
Right.
A slammed model is moved D6 directly away from its attacker and then is knocked down.
Okay.
If the slamming model has a smaller base than the slam target, the model is slammed half the distance rolled. And then they suffer damage. It moves. A slammed model moves half speed through rough terrain.
Yep.
Just like everything else.
Yep.
That doesn't have both.
If a slammed model cannot be knocked down, it must still forfeit its movement or action. So
wow, that's important.
Yep. If it activates later in a turn in which it was slammed.
Oh, in the turn. Okay, so
It's like the fastball.
Gotcha. Yeah. No, totally understand. And the reason why that's there is to stop you from slamming your own model.
Yeah.
in
So
the middle of
so
a-
say I've got a cipher. Cipher is steady.
Yeah.
I want to charge something that is 13 inches away. I'm never going to make that with a cipher. It's speed 4. So what I want is him an extra D6 inches closer. I slam his butt. I move forward.
The only time I could think that this would be really cool is if something had steady and counter charge, and you were like, "Haha, shut you down." But it's actually to stop you from slamming your own model. Basically, one of the things that they did with an errata a long time ago was stop the fastball special from happening, which was I throw my own dude into the zone, and then he's steady, so he lands on his feet and then charges you.
Yeah.
That tactic is left for circle, and circle only. So let's remember that.
So a slammed model moves through models with smaller bases than its own. If it would end up on top of the model, then they use the rules of least disturbance, which I will try not to get into, but basically
we are going to have to talk about least disturbance.
Wiggle everything until it fits.
We'll talk about least disturbance. That'll be the last thing we talk about because it comes up a bunch of times.
Yeah. Falling They always mention falling in all of these.
Yeah, which doesn't
but
come up
almost
often. Yeah.
nobody uses it because
Well, it's because most terrain isn't built over 3 inches, so most people don't throw each other off of buildings. Although would be kind of cool.
Yeah.
But so falling, you take damage if it's over 3 inches. I want to say that you've.
I think it's 2. I think it's a D6 for every 2. But
guys on the stream, how many inches do you have to fall before you take damage?
So you've been slammed backwards.
Yep.
Let's make a scenario that I actually had in a journeyman game. We have a ironclad with striker behind him.
Mm-hmm.
I smash my gladiator into him.
Mm-hmm.
I slam him 4 inches backwards. His base clears. Let's throw all the rules in there. His base goes over top of striker and smacks a wall that was behind striker.
Yeah.
Okay. So this gives you all of the different things. So the first thing is that his movement goes over striker because he's a large base and striker's a small base. But it does not go over the wall because it's an obstruction. Mm-hmm. So he will pass over striker and he will hit the wall.
Yeah.
And stop.
And so take lots and lots of damage.
So then we move to the damage step once all the movement's been done. So slam damage is a strength damage. Mm-hmm. Some weapons will add to that. Mm-hmm. You get an additional die for hitting an immobile object.
Yep.
And this is an attack that can be boosted, or a damage roll that can be boosted.
Wow, that's legit.
So theoretically,
which we always forget about. A lot of these power attacks can't be boosted. So.
Yes, and so this is what they call the slam damage. The slam damage is only applied to the model that gets slammed.
Right.
So we roll a bunch of damage. We kill an ironclad. We hurt an ironclad. Whatever.
Which is why you don't put your ironclad in front of you. You put old Rowdy in front of you.
Yeah.
Who is? I think he's immune to slams.
I think he just can't be moved by them.
Yeah, I think he's immobile.
So the next thing that happens is we have to apply collateral damage because a model has smacked a model going past. So since both models are knocked down, because the one model contacted another, striker's knocked down, the ironclad's knocked down. Striker takes collateral damage, which is a straight strength roll that cannot be boosted.
Yeah.
So remember, you can boost the guy you hit. You can't boost anybody you didn't.
Yeah, yeah.
They are literally just getting smacked by whatever went flying through the air.
Yep.
I will mention there are certain models like the Gladiator who do get follow-up, which means that they can move a movement that is equal to the distance that the slammed model was moved.
Right, and the thing is, we're not going to talk about every one of the models that has.
But that's something you should
be aware
of.
Yeah, be aware that when you're doing a slam, or if somebody slams
check your card for interesting slam stuff.
There could be all kinds of cool stuff, especially if there's any mention of slam on your card or any of these power attacks on your card.
Yes.
Generally, it's because you get something cooler. It's not be like, oh yeah, remember to slam a guy. It's because like, oh sweet, I'm playing a warden who gets headbutt for free.
Yeah, you may want to also, some of these power attacks can be done as part of your initials. A lot of things will have something. A lot of models will have something where you hit,
where you can do it as part of your initials, so that you're not losing all your base attacks.
Yeah, so you hit first initial, hit second initial, then you get a free whatever.
All right, we've gone into great detail with this. Let's move on because we're quickly running.
We're eating time.
We're eating the death clock up.
Yeah,
we got about 15 minutes now to cover the hardest part, which is hilarious.
Well, we still have trample to do before we do get to throws.
Jesus.
Well, yeah, but let's talk about.
Trample.
So that's what every jack can do.
We've done
every
jack.
Light, heavy, jack, monstrosity / beast can do. Let's talk about what only heavies can do,
which is the trample.
So we're sitting at 840.
Heavies and larger.
Heavies and larger, yeah, because Colossals can do it too.
Yeah.
We're not even going to get into Colossals this week.
Yeah.
We'll do another whole episode on the wonderful thing that is Colossals Gargantuans.
Yeah.
That Gargantuans that nobody uses that are getting better.
So tramples.
Trample.
Trample is awesome.
Yep.
Trample is for that time in your life when there's that cloud of infantry between you and a caster, and what you want to do is just smash them all into the ground and get over there and beat the crap out of the guy.
6,000 Banes between you and the caster. The caster left
a nice little landing spot.
So,
So I want to get from here to there, and I want to kill everybody in my way. So the first thing I want to do is take a look at that board and see if they're all small bases, because I can't trample over anything that's not a small base. Caveat here, you can trample over things that are not small bases if you have flight. Be aware, you are not immune from the free strikes on the things that are not...
You can't trample over them. You're trampling over all the things that are small bases, and
you're flying over the others.
The others.
So, yes, you can take your Angelius and trample over the... those 4 trolls between you and the caster, but each one of those trolls is going to bash you. So unless
so
the
you
troll
probably you may die on your way there.
Not so great, but occasionally useful. Anyway, so we've checked that they're all small bases. So now we're going to do our trample movement. So we turn to the direction we want to move. And then we make the standard combat movement, which is your normal movement plus 3 inches. Just like for slam, just like for charge.
So whenever you're doing any of these things, charge, slam, you've spent the focus to do it. You generally get 3 inches to do it.
You get an extra 3 inches.
Because you're running at things.
Now,
again, remember, if there's a wall in the way, you can't do it.
That's correct. Because they're all combat actions. They don't happen across
unless
the
you
wall.
have Pathfinder.
So the next thing you want to do is see if you've got somewhere to stand on the other side. Because though you're trampling the corpses of your enemy into the ground, you can't just stand on top of them. They tend to get stuck in your feet.
What happens if because you've announced your slam, you've paid your focus, you go to do it, and your base doesn't fit in what you suspected was enough room to do it?
Well, you stop at the first model that you impacted that you could not stop on top of.
What if there's another space in between, though, that was big enough?
Yes. So you stop where you had to...
Where you had to stop.
Yeah, where you fit, basically.
Okay, perfect.
So now, the way to stop having this show up as a problem with your model is to use a proxy base. Proxy bases are great for this type of thing.
Now, is it legal, though, to drop your proxy base in first before you announce your charge time?
Well, no, it's not.
Because shouldn't you say...
It's not... you are allowed to do it after you have said, I am going to trample.
I've spent my focus.
You say, you say, I'm going to trample. You force your beast or you spend your focus. And then you drop your proxy base and say, I am going to attempt to trample to this location. So you don't get to do it first. But what you do is you drop your proxy base down and say, I'm going to trample to there, and then you measure it out.
Okay.
If your measurement is correct, then you've made it. If your measurement is not, then bad things have happened.
Interesting. So using the proxy base will help you decide where you're going to go.
And it will stop you having a model in a bad place if it has failed.
Right.
Because you've picked it up, now where are you putting it back down?
All right, so we're going with chess rules here. As long as you don't put it down, you're solid.
Well, that's why we have a proxy base, because then we don't have to worry about how far it got, like all that kind of stuff. So we've trampled across a whole mess of things. We've, as with every other power attack, we've used up all our initials.
And we spend a focus.
And we can do things when we get to the other end. We can buy more attacks. So this is often a good way to get over a lot of stuff and beat up on a caster.
There's a whole bunch of small bases, which often happens in, say, a Crick's Bane spam.
You got a cloud of guys. So you trample over them. You beat up the thing on the other end.
The caster, hopefully.
Now, the poor little things that you've trampled over, you get to make a mat attack on each one of the small bases that you have contacted on the way. They do not get to make free strikes against you. And the damage, like most of these things, is a strength-based damage. Now, remember, anybody who you did not contact...
Now, when we say contact, we're not talking about base-to-base contact. We're talking about you actually passed over them. So if you just... Like, if you put that laser line down between you and your proxy base, and you actually passed the base, maybe gone base to base, you had to actually go over that base. And this might be where, if you're in a tournament, you call in a judge to say, did I pass over the base, or did I contact
Whenever
the base?
I am doing a trample, I immediately call a judge.
Well, because tramples are complicated.
It is so obvious. It's not that I don't trust my opponent. It's more that I don't trust
to be
myself.
honest, yeah, that's what I was going to say. I don't trust myself to do it fairly and
whenever there is even the slightest idea that it will be a close measurement or something like that, my hand goes up so fast you can hear the whistle.
Oh, it's normal to do that, and don't feel bad if your opponent is trampling you. Put your fucking hand up and call a judge. That's what the judges do.
Judges are there to be an impartial observer.
What's funny about it is most judges, I would think, if I was judging an event like that and somebody was using a trample and it was that important, I'd want to be there to see it.
Oh, hell yeah!
Tramples are awesome to watch. When they go off well, they go off well, and when they go off wrong, they go off horribly.
The coolest thing about being a PG is you get to see the best part of every single game. Because you get called over, is this assassination shot in or out?
Yeah. When shit's
is
legit,
this throw going to work? Like, all those awesome things you get to see. Anyway,
before we get too lost in that.
So you trample over all these guys. You hurt a whole bunch of guys. You got there on the other end.
Yep.
You start putting it in.
Mm-hmm.
They tramples are great for getting yourself out of trouble. I want to beat up on that thing over there, but he has surrounded me with infantry. Whatever shall I do?
Trample.
Let's kill half of them on the way out. I need to get in that zone, but there's all this infantry. Just trample them.
And things to note, tramples don't work great with colossals. They do and they don't.
They work absolutely great with colossals, but you have to be able to pass over.
That's the problem. Most of the time, if you want to stop a trample, if you want to stop a trample with a colossal, put 3 infantry in front of the colossal instead of 1.
Yeah,
because then it's like, oh,
here's a hint for all of you working on your colossals. If your colossal has a speed 5, its back of its base can be where the front of its base is right now.
Yep.
Yeah.
So if you add the 3 inches in for a trample, your colossal gets to move 3 inches forward.
Yeah.
So if there's anything 3.5 inches in, you can't land there.
So little things for you to know. All right, so tramples, I think that's pretty simple. We've talked about that's what it's used for. We've got some tactics and tips. Let's move on to
throwing.
Because this is, we're going to give this 5 minutes. 5 minutes for throw.
5 minutes for throwing
5 minutes for
relatively
throw.
Easy.
Give me the basics of, there are 2 types of throw. One-handed and two-handed throw. It's basically pretty easy to figure out whether you have a one-handed or a two-handed throw.
Check your
one-handed throw, or if you have a weapon, or if you have an arm knocked out. Yeah. So if you have one hand, one open fist, you can do a one-handed throw. If you have 2 open fists, you can do a two-handed throw. If you have one weapon or one of your open fists knocked out, you can only do a one-handed throw. If you have both of your weapons knocked out, you can't fucking throw. So stop fucking telling me you can throw. I'll call over a judge and he'll say, no, you can't throw. So same deal as before.
Yep.
Initial's gone. Spend your focus or your fury. How do we proceed from there? So, single-handed throw.
Single-handed throw. This is a contested check. So first you hit.
Mm-hmm.
So roll your regular hit with a melee attack. If you've hit, next thing we go on to is the contested throw. So we're doing a one-handed throw. I get 1d6. You get 1d6.
Mm-hmm.
Roll the d6. Add it to our strength.
Yep.
If my attack exceeds yours, then I get to throw you.
Yep.
I pick a direction.
Yep.
That is away from myself unless I am Typhon.
In your front arc. So it has to be in your front arc. It can't be, you can't away from yourself in your back arc.
Because that's never away from yourself.
Exactly. It's got to be away from yourself, which is, but people might not understand that.
Yeah. There is exactly one model that can chuck somebody over his head into the other guys, and that's Typhon because he has 360. Or I guess the entire battle group under...
there's some dudes in...
no, the entire battle group under Raven...
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. There's some dudes.
Anyway, if you've got 360 vision, you can huck stuff behind you. But generally, your front arc, somewhere you can see, you pick your direction, you fire it away from you. You can travel half of your strength, and I will just confirm that in distance.
Yep, I believe so. I think it's a die 3.
Yeah.
I think
no, it's half
your strength.
Okay.
Half your strength.
Yep.
Being thrown moves directly from its current location. Oh yes, we should mention that. The throw comes from the thing you're throwing, not from you.
Oh right. So a lot of people make that mistake. While you're looking that up, a lot of people make the mistake of thinking that you get to choose the direction also means I get to choose the direction as in from the center of my base. It's not. It's from the center of the thing you're throwing.
Yeah.
So picture it as you are holding onto the dude and you throw the dude, don't choose, well, I'm going to go this way.
You're not picking it from you. It's from him.
Yeah.
It is half your strength. And if a large base model is throwing a smaller based one, then it gets an extra inch.
Now, one of the cool things about a one-handed throw, you get to choose the direction. You get to do the distance.
You roll your distance. Now, the problem with a one-handed throw is it's not particularly accurate.
Nope.
So when you do a one-handed throw, you always do a deviation.
Yeah.
So from your intended point of impact, you get out your deviation template, you slap it down, you pray for that one so you can get the extra distance.
Yep.
You roll a d6.
Or you pray for something else so that you can maybe hit a caster who happens to be just off of one. But anyway.
And remember, like all other deviations, this can only go half of the initial distance.
Right. So half your strength and then half the distance.
So it can only deviate a quarter of
whatever your strength is. So it's never going to go, unless you're a colossal, much more than...
It's never going to go too far. But what that does is it kind of makes it more accurate.
All right,
because it can't deviate that far. Big one thing. So two-handed throws, just like one-handed throws, two differences. One, it does not have to deviate. You can make a directed attack. And the second thing is that the guy throwing, because he has two open hands, gets 2 dice.
Yep.
So it's much easier to throw. And we should mention that being the target of a thrown model gives you a couple of little benefits. One, you are using your mat. So if you're a mat 7...
Huge deal!
If you're a mat 7 and a rat 4, when you throw a model, you're throwing with your mat 7. And a thrown model hitting another model
uses mat.
Well, it uses the mat, but the other big thing is it is not an attack on the model being hit. So anytime someone feats or has an ability that says you cannot target me by an attack, you can grab the nearest one of his things and chuck it at him.
Or if you have something that's like, I get to move away 3 inches if you do a directed attack.
Yeah, and a knockdown model is not the target, can't move, and he was not the target of a attack.
Bullshit shenanigans.
Oh look,
right there.
you got countercharge. Eat a jack to the face.
Congratulations, dude! You managed to actually get this on time. Well, there's so much more we could say about throwing.
Oh yes,
I feel like we do like a complete 5-episode series. Just
well, you know, the reality is we actually just covered most of it.
Yeah,
we could have done a 5-episode.
Yeah,
we could have done millions of episodes on this, but we would have been kind of like just waxing philosophical for about 45 minutes after we completed the one thing. So we did cover all of this stuff today, guys. I'd like to congratulate you. You did come under my little 8:55 death clock. It's 8:55, which means it's time for
the lightning round.
So today's lightning may or may not have to do with
power attack.
Now you can go.
Oh, sorry. Today's lightning round.
I had my hand up.
I thought it just went the lightning round.
No,
Anyway.
it was like dun, 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 dun.
Oh, that's right. Sorry.
Who made them?
God damn it.
Jesus Christ.
God damn it, Will, roll some fucking dice. They
We're
may
running out of
mostly have to do with power attacks, but I will warn you, I threw a couple of, curveballs in there. All right. Those on the stream, if you have not played the lightning round before, you need to buzz in. And unfortunately, since you're not here and because Twitch has a 5-second delay, you'll probably be behind the curve. But
we're incompetent, so
they're incompetent, and most of the time they get the questions wrong. So if you know the answer, Maelstrom will shut it out.
I will.
And he'll claim it as his own.
I will.
Question number 1. Can you headbutt a model with a larger base?
No.
No! Apparently you can't. Which is funny, because according to other things you can.
I got a point.
Question number 2. What is the penalty for slamming a model with a larger base?
Ooh. If I didn't... It's so tempting to just pick up this book and look how...
Don't look in the book.
Oh.
I take away points for that. I'm a benevolent leader. You know.
I'm going to say it's...
Wedgie.
A wedgie? I was going to say...
Not a wedgie.
Half the movement?
Nope. -2 to the attack. According to what I read today in one of the books. Number 3.
To hit it?
-2 to the attack. Yeah.
Interesting.
-2 to your attack roll for slamming a model with a larger base, which means a small base model can medium base model can slam a large base model?
There is. Here, this would have been a good question. There's one small base model that can slam. What is it?
That would be the chickens, isn't it? Right?
Nope.
No. Oh, damn it! All right. So, anyways, moving on.
We don't know.
3. Oh, we'll leave that open to the stream. I can try to answer your question for 10 points. Number 3. How many inches is a slammed model moved using die?
D6. D6.
It is D6. How do you?
Unless you're a gladiator and you have hard head.
We didn't talk much about. We didn't actually get into weapon locks today. We forgot
Oh, we
about
didn't
weapon
do
locks.
weapon locks.
That's all right. That never comes
Or
up
headlocks.
unless you're holding hands.
Headlocks. We didn't do headlocks.
It never comes up unless you're facing against convergence or a drag from Kriegs.
Weapon locks, don't use them. They're a shitty way to waste your initial attacks. And
Shut up. Well, actually, no. That's perfect. I'm bringing colossals. To
unless you're convergence. Yeah. How do you break a weapon lock?
Well, you can either do a strength check if it's an enemy model, or if it's your own model, you can just choose to not do it.
There you go. Question number 5. What is the base slam damage on a Gnarlhorn Satyr?
Ooh. I'm going to say I think it's a 15. Because it's strength plus his weapon, but I'm not sure what his weapon.
15. Very
Oh,
good.
nice!
That's a high five, because that's a circle model right there. Because he gets
his weapon damage because he's got the horns.
That was a bit of a curveball. Can a Gorgon throw a Hydra? Can a Gorgon throw a Hydra?
I would have to know what's...
No.
No, Gorgon cannot throw a Hydra because a Gorgon is a smaller base.
Okay.
50-50 chance.
I would have to know what size a Gorgon is.
That's right. Well, that's why they're tough questions.
Or a Hydra.
What are the 2 power attacks available only to a Colossal?
Sweep?
And?
Ooh, what's the other one?
Sweep and... If you can answer it, Jason.
There's another one?
There is another one that's only available to a Colossal. They all get Sweep and Power Strike. Power Strike.
Frag Palm was close. He had Power Sweep.
It's Power Strike.
Power Strike.
Check it out.
There you go. You got
Check
it
it
now,
out.
Frag
You can
Palm.
look it
Good
up.
boy.
What is the POW
There's
on a Blightedness Claymore?
Frag Palm gets the point.
Don't look it up now. POW on a Blightedness Claymore.
7.
No, it's actually 12.
Yeah.
Blightedness Claymore is a POW of 12.
I disbelieve.
All right, well, that's
I believe that the P plus S is a 12.
Sorry, the P
and the
plus
POW
S.
of
God damn it.
POW of a Claymore, I think, is 4.
All right, you got me on that one. All right.
I'm just excited by a power attack I've never done.
What constitutes the... Can you stop looking at shit right now? What constitutes the base damage on collateral damage?
It's a strength. It's strength.
Attacker strength. Very good.
Yeah.
Number 10 is the Minty Fresh question of the week. Are you ready, gentlemen? I want you to put your thinking caps on.
And clench.
Clench your buttocks. Milo Boggs miniature is a combination of which existing miniatures?
Oh my god.
What? Can you read that
Milo
again?
Boggs.
Milo Boggs miniature
Yeah.
is a combination of which existing miniatures? Maelstrom had no chance with this, but I can see right now, Minty, if you're listening to the podcast right now, there's steam coming out of
Oh my god,
Semi's
what's the
ears.
other one?
What's the first one?
Well, I think it's either not the Goblin Tinker, it's one of the Gobbers.
We're going to give you one more second because we're running over the death clock.
Oh no.
We
I'm
have
not
a
going to
couple
get
minutes.
it.
All right, it is Gorman DeWolf for the body and the Vassal Mechanic
It's the
for the
Vassal
head. Vassal Mechanic for the... Thank you, Minty, for the Minty Fresh question of the week.
Thanks, Minty.
Yeah. Thanks, you jerk. Jason, you just, you need to work harder, is what...
I need
Yeah,
to.
you need to research
You need to
the
minty harder.
conversions in every Privateer Press stuff that
I
has
need to
gone
just
out.
message Minty and offer him $10 after he
get all
gets
Give you all the questions in advance and be like, oh, dude, it's totally this.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, thank you
Duh.
again
thanks, guys.
All the guys for joining us this week for the Death Clock Has 60 Minutes. There are many, many ways that you can participate in the Death Clock. The first one is, of course, going to our Facebook page, which is if you just look up Moosemachine, you'll find us. Because we're under a really weird name, which used to be the name of our show, but had some swearing in, and people didn't like it. You can also find us on Twitch, of course, under PG_semi-auto magic. You can find us on YouTube under George Schweitzer, or if you just look up Moosemachine, you'll find us on YouTube. Finally, you can subscribe to us either on our SoundCloud feed, which, thank you all the people who subscribed. We are getting 100 downloads pretty much the day that the podcast goes up, which I'm really proud about, actually. It's grown huge. Except for the Reddit guy who really hates our audio every week.
Hey, the Reddit guy who hates our audio, he's listening.
Well, he's listening and he's forcing me to get better.
Yeah, and that's good.
Doesn't matter. I hate that motherfucker. Just kidding. I love you, man. I love you, man. Join us live. So I can tell you I hate you to your face. And finally, you, of course, can just subscribe to us on iTunes and get the podcast live, which is pretty sweet. It shows up, I think, we're looking about 30 hours afterwards, after I posted to SoundCloud. George, before we close this Death Clock down, we're already a little bit past it, but that's okay because we started a little bit late. Any events coming up? Because I heard there was nothing really. Yeah,
nothing going on. Oh wait, there is CGX this weekend.
Ooh.
The Capital Gaming Expo is happening. Buy your tickets before Thursday night at midnight.
Tomorrow?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you better have been watching this live because you're fucked otherwise.
Well, you can still get them at the door. Mm-hmm. You know, if you're listening to this on the iTunes feed on Thursday or Friday afternoon, then you can still pay at the door, but it's an extra $5. Yep. And it's going to be 2 days. The first day we have a 50-point steamroller that's part of our tournament series, but even if you're not in the tournament series, feel free to come out and play that. The next day is going to be really fun. We're using Party Foul's bottom of the barrel casters, and it's a 35.1 or 2 lists, and you just come out and kill a lot of stuff. That is the Nepean Sportsplex.
Okay.
CGX.
Oh, tons of cool stuff going on there. Also, of course, if you are in the Ottawa-Gatineau area, we have a painting competition coming up. Do not want to do any lack of lip service to that because there needs to be more hobby stuff going on right now. And if we get some of the guys come, sorry, when is that? And what's the deal with that?
I don't have it in front of me.
I don't have it in front of me either. It's but if you go to the Ottawa-Gatineau War Machine page, you'll see it posted by Jean Creton. There's some cool stuff coming up, and of course we're coming into the fall season. The destruction events will be happening all over the dang place.
October 24th, I believe, is ours.
Yeah, so if check your local meta, because go to those events. There's coins to be won, and generally, guess what? You can be a new player, guys, and win those events. You show up with the one faction that nobody else decided to show up with that week. My very first one, I walked home with a Circle coin, which was ridiculous because I showed up with nothing. But nobody else played Circle, so hey, it was pretty sweet.
The painting competition is October 17th.
All right, guys, that's it for this Death Clock Has 60 Minutes. Fortunately, we're about 2 minutes past the hour, but that's okay. Dice down, gentlemen.